Road rage, CS gas, and aggravated assault. These things usually don't go hand in hand with F1 drivers, but that quickly changed in 1991. With 7 world titles, 91 wins, and an unforgettable legacy, Michael Schumacher changed F1 as we know it. But the story of Michael's F1 debut might just be the craziest part of his entire career. This is the story of how a criminal made Michael Schumacher a Formula 1 driver. It all started with a new team on the block in 1991, Jordan Grand Prix. Set up by Irishman Eddie Jordan, it was punching well above its weight. They managed to build a surprisingly good car in their first year, thanks to Eddie convincing design legend Gary Anderson to join the team. The result was the Jordan 191, a car that's legendary for quite a few reasons. Schumacher's one of those reasons, but come on. The car was absolutely beautiful too. And who doesn't love that 7-Up livery? That's chassis number 6, the exact car Schumacher made his debut in. I'll get to that later though, because before he got anywhere near the car, the Jordan team had plenty of other problems on their hands. Eddie managed to strike a deal with Ford to provide his team with engines. Next, he needed drivers. He hired the experienced Italian Andrea De Cesaris and the less experienced Belgian driver Bertrand Gachot. Keep that name in mind. With all of that out the way, Eddie and his team probably thought they were set for a relatively smooth debut year in F1. And to be honest, it started that way, with Gachot finishing 10th at the season-opening US Grand Prix. The following 9 races went even better. They finished 4th and 5th in Canada to score their first points, 4th in Mexico, and 5th and 6th in Germany too. It was seriously impressive for a new team, and the drivers loved the car. But as we all know, drama is never far away in F1. Just as things start to go well, something will pop up from God knows where to throw you off. The racing gods didn't make any exceptions for Jordan either, because Eddie was about to face his biggest problem ever. The first 10 races of the year went according to plan. The final 6 did not. The team was preparing for the Belgian Grand Prix when one of the most bizarre pieces of news in F1 history landed on Eddie's desk. Bertrand Gachot had been doing a brilliant job up to this point. He was already considered one of the most promising young talents in F1, having made his debut 2 years earlier. Halfway through his first season with Jordan, he managed to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans as well. Just a few weeks later though, his career and life changed forever. See, 6 months before, something crazy happened, and I mean crazy. It's the 10th of December 1990, when Gachot's driving through London on his way to a sponsorship event for 7-Up, where he'll be appearing with Eddie Jordan. Gachot's running late though, and in the city of traffic near Hyde Park, he drives into a taxi driver named Eric Court. Neither car's damaged, but Court doesn't appreciate Gachot hitting his rear bumper. Court loses his cool, and the whole thing turns into a complete fit of road rage. He gets out of his taxi, approaches Gachot's car, pulls his tie and threatens him by raising his fists. Gachot feels the need to defend himself, so, as you do, he pulls out a can of CS gas and sprays Court straight in the eyes. Gachot tried to cover it up straight away, and on the way to his meeting stopped off at a random building. He tried to hide the can of CS gas in the toilet, but the plan didn't work out. CS gas was illegal in the UK, obviously, and Gachot was arrested and charged with actual bodily harm and possession of a prohibited weapon. Yikes. By the way, Eddie was left doing the sponsorship event on his own that day. It was only afterwards that he found out why Gachot never showed up. It wasn't as awkward as what happened with Schumacher though, but I'll get back to Schumi in just a few minutes. Just before I dive into the trial itself, if you want to feel protected anytime you're watching YouTube or doing anything else on the internet without needing to carry a can of CS gas, you'll want to try today's sponsor, NordVPN. A VPN is a tool that allows you to connect to the internet, but specifically select a country through which to connect. A few days ago, I was researching for this video you're watching and simply couldn't access certain US sites that were blocked due to the EU privacy regulations. Now, I've been a paying subscriber to Nord for 3 years now, so it was an easy fix. Simply selected New York, reloaded the website, and voila. But that's probably not the most common use case for VPNs. Most people use it when traveling, when connecting to sketchy Wi-Fis, or, of course, to access blocked content on Netflix, Hulu, and so on. But Nord isn't just a VPN anymore. It's now a threat protection tool that allows you to block malware, block intrusive ads, and to secure your data on the internet, and they continue to come out with new products. Like, they have a password manager now called NordPass, where you can have all of your passwords securely stored in this one tool. Of course, we all love the internet. I mean, it literally changed my life thanks to you guys. But I think we also all know about the countless horror stories, and that's why NordVPN exists, to protect you anytime you're connected to the internet. There's a link right below this video. It's nordvpn.com/dailyfuelup. And of course, when you click the link, it helps support the channel, but it also gets you an even better deal, an additional 4 months for free. Oh, and NordVPN is so good, you can use it for 30 days, and if you're not 100% satisfied, you'll get it for free with their no questions asked money back guarantee. Thank you once again to Nord for making this video possible. And now, back to the trial. Gasho's trial date was scheduled for the week before the 1991 Belgian Grand Prix, which was at the end of August the following year. That was 8 months away, but it didn't stop him from ripping it up on the track. His P5 finish in Canada and P6 in Germany showed he definitely had some serious speed. Fast forward to the Hungarian GP in August, right before Spa. It was business as usual for everyone at Jordan. Their technical director, Gary Anderson, the man behind the 191, mentioned how little the upcoming case was affecting Gasho.
We went to the Hungarian Grand Prix, which was just before the case came up, basically, and he was doing his job, he was driving, he was focused. You know, a lot of people you would expect to fall apart a little bit if they were just going to be going to court and they thought it was serious. So I don't think even Bertrand thought it was actually going to go anywhere like it did.
Gasho only scored the fastest lap once in his entire F1 career. In which race do you think he set it at? Yep, the 1991 Hungarian Grand Prix. Case closed on whether he was distracted that weekend. The reason it didn't affect his performance was because, as Gary said, nobody took the incident seriously. I mean, physically attacking someone obviously isn't acceptable, but everyone thought that he'd be given a fine or a suspended sentence at most. When the court case finally came around though, the punishment gave everyone a surprise. A big surprise.
Order in the court!
He was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Unsurprisingly, he was as shocked as anyone.
We were driving good. I just had done the lap record in Hungary and everything was going well. I was 11th in the World Championship. So I believe it was very unfair to put me in jail, and certainly it was unjustified. So I hope that I can get to my place and better it.
That wasn't a get out of jail free card though. Sorry, because in the eyes of the UK law, he was now a criminal. In the lead up to the trial, everyone was downplaying it. Everyone thought he'd get away with a slap on a wrist. No one more than Gasho himself, which was best told in Eddie's own book, An Independent Man.
The stupid thing was that we could have sorted things out had we known about the extent of the problem. Bertrand was not the sort of guy to go around attacking people. Far from it, but rather than trying to make amends, apologizing to the taxi driver and making a donation to charity, Bertrand dismissed the incident from his mind and failed to realize the possible repercussions.
How wrong they were. Eddie called the sentence preposterous. He said that everyone thought his appeal would be successful, but he was wrong about that too. Gasho tried his best, but it wasn't good enough. Even Court, the taxi driver, called the sentence a tragedy, but at the same time gave us one of the best quotes ever.
There comes a time when you have to grow up and realize that you can't go around spraying people with CS gas.
Good to know. Gasho did get the sentence reduced to 9 months though, but there was a Grand Prix at the end of the month, so there was still no chance he'd be at Spa. At the end of the day, you can't be behind bars and drive an F1 car at the same time, which meant 2 things. 1, Jordan lost a driver. 2, they needed another one, and they needed it fast. Obviously, Eddie was left scratching his head at this point. He described the team's finances as brutal during their first season, so he wasn't just low on cash, he was low on drivers too. And this was all just 1 week before the Belgian Grand Prix. That, and the fact that the 191 was a great car, might explain some of the potential candidates that were considered for the seat. Keke Rosberg, yeah, the 1981 world champion who had been retired for 5 years at this point. Stefan Johansson, who was at the top of Eddie's list, got ruled out because he wanted to be paid. A pretty reasonable request, but anyway. Damon Hill, who hadn't even made his F1 race debut yet. Derek Warwick, and some guy called Michael Schumacher. The funny thing is though, Eddie wasn't even considering Schumacher that much. He saw him race in F3 in Germany, but didn't think much of his driving. Schumacher had been put into the Sauber Mercedes sports car program, and this only added to Eddie's opinion that Schumacher wasn't good enough.
The first time I watched Michael Schumacher race, I was not particularly impressed. He was what you might call a normal driver, very good, but not exceptional. Sports car racing was a dead end, a place for either retired F1 drivers or just those who were never good enough to make the cut in the first place.
Schumacher was backed by Mercedes though, and they were trying to bring their young German driver into the limelight. They believed in him so much that they offered to pay Jordan $150,000 to put him in the seat, and that was per race. Funnily enough, Eddie suddenly found Schumacher a lot more appealing.
We needed a few quid from Mercedes, and God bless them, they paid.
Imagine getting paid to have Schumacher in your car. Only Eddie Jordan. The $150K sealed the deal, and before Schumacher knew it, he found himself sitting in an F1 car at Spa. Not only that, but sitting in an F1 car for the first time ever. Even with his zero F1 experience, it didn't take him long to impress. He proved Eddie's normal driver perspective wrong immediately. He was 11th in Friday morning practice, 8th in the first qualifying on Friday afternoon, 5th on Saturday morning, and stole the spotlight by qualifying 7th. Well, to get really specific for a second, he actually qualified 8th. Ricardo Patrese was ahead of him, but his Williams failed scrutineering after qualifying because it didn't have a working reverse gear, so Schumacher got bumped up a place. I'd rather clarify this so you don't end me in the comments. Regardless, he blew his teammate away, being over 7/10 faster than De Cesaris. It was seriously impressive considering the Italian had years of F1 experience and 10 race weekends in this car already. Schumacher didn't get the chance to convert his 4th row start into a good result on Sunday though. He made it up to 6th place at the start, but just after Eau Rouge, 2 corners into the race, his clutch failed and he was forced to retire. Side note, but the exact car he raced that day, chassis number 6, was sold at auction in 2023 for $1.4 million. Whoever bought it, I hope you're happy, and I'm not jealous at all. Even though he couldn't display his racecraft, the mark he made on Saturday was enough to put his name firmly on the map. More bad news for Eddie. I say this because Schumacher was almost too good. He impressed everyone up and down the paddock, including Autosport journalist Nigel Roebuck.
It may seem ridiculous already to speak of him as a special talent, but just once in a while you get a feeling about a new driver, an impression that this is the start of a major career. It was there with Villeneuve, with Prost, and with Senna, and I, together with nearly everyone else at Spa, felt it there with Schumacher.
Straight away, bigger teams were trying to snatch him away from Jordan. Benetton were the most obvious, and they offered him a better contract and a faster car. Schumacher didn't think twice. After some legal back and forth, it turned out that Schumacher and Jordan didn't have a proper contract in place. This led to a very unhappy Eddie, but business is business. He never drove for Jordan again, and just 2 weeks later he changed his green racing suit for a yellow one and jumped ship to Benetton. He scored his first F1 points in his first race with them, with a P5 in Italy, and scored in the next 2 races as well. He went on to win 2 world championships with them in 1994 and 1995, and we all know what happened after that. This entire story had so many ups and downs. I mean, what other F1 tale has a debut team, a quick car, jail time, contract mishaps, and future legends all rolled up in one? In the end, Gasho only served 2 months of his sentence. Even though he made a comeback later the same year with a lesser team, getting locked up definitely didn't help his career, and sadly he never got to realize his full potential. He did become a millionaire in the energy drinks business though, so he's doing alright. Eddie's still being Eddie, and he's done more than alright for himself since then. The Jordan team has changed hands a few times, but it's Aston Martin now, so his impact on F1 can't be overlooked. Of course, Michael is one of the best to ever do it, and after a crazy debut, went on to change the sport forever. Even with all the success, no driver's career goes completely smoothly though. There were plenty of controversies along the way. Take the 2002 US Grand Prix as an example. Tension, team orders, and an unbelievable finish with Schumacher making it one of the most controversial race finishes ever. If you haven't watched it already, you should do so now, and as always, thank you for watching.